Solar energy.
Hey guys, Eric Swords here. This is Moises Gonzalez, head of operations at US Power. Today we're going to be talking obviously about going solar. If you're interested in a quote, call us 818-650-8010, or you can go to www.uspower.us. If you want an instant quote with us, you can also go to sunpowerestimate.com. We are an elite dealer with SunPower. We're going to get right into it. Going solar these days is so easy. It's a no-brainer. There is no reason for you to be paying an electric bill right now. So, we're based here in Los Angeles, California. We install solar systems also across Arizona and in Florida. If your electric bill is above $150 a month on average, you're throwing money down the drain.
Yeah.
You're throwing money down the drain, right? So, we're living in an age right now where utilities are basically the last standing major monopolies. There's zero competition. They can charge whatever they want. And the rates, especially here in California, are continuing to rise on average by like 8 to 10% per year.
Per year, yeah.
Year.
I think San Diego was the highest.
San Diego is
specifically?
San Diego is the highest energy in the world right now. So if you're in San Diego and you haven't gone solar yet, call us, US Power. Again, 818-650-8010 or sunpowerestimate.com. We're going to get you a quote, full design to go solar.
And even with NEM 3, like I mean, a lot of people might be getting a little bit thrown off with the fact that NEM 3 is out there and they made a big thing out of it. But with batteries and how technology is advancing and how they are more efficient with time, I think it's also easy to go with a battery if you're worried about NEM 3. For those out there that are worried about NEM 3, this is not really it is a big deal, but with the batteries, it's something that we can work with and make it work for you guys as well.
You guys did not miss out on anything. So NEM 3, and just to break that down for those who weren't here for the first two episodes or don't know what that is 90% of California right now is controlled by the CPUC, California Public Utility Commission. So these are all investor-owned utilities, which would be Southern California Edison, PG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric, right? These guys control 90% of the state of California. We talked a lot about it in episode 1, but what happened was so many folks went solar within the last 10 years that they're losing their customers, right? So as investor-owned utilities, meaning for-profit utilities where you can buy stock and get a dividend from, their shareholders and their ownership is severely worried. They're threatened by the residential solar business, basically us. We're one of the top players out here in California. So, they basically lobbied to change the law. We fought it for years, 2-3 years we fought it. I remember going down a year and a half ago, I was down at City Hall at Los Angeles, like picketing, for the solar business, because it's very backwards. We're living here in California, which is a very renewable, minded state, number one, but also we have tremendous fires here. Fires are getting worse and worse every year. So the whole idea of limiting or putting a cap on folks going solar is just backwards.
Right. And also all that money that you're putting into your electric bill goes right into the and investing on energy sources, which is why when you invest that in your own home and make your own electricity mine.
Exactly. That's the big concept, is when you transition to solar, you're reallocating that monthly payment that you already pay into equity in your home. Even if you don't own the system technically and you do a lease or a PPA, you're still building value. A lot of folks don't understand that. And I'm going to go into the PPA and the lease a little bit. And then what we want to do is talk about the process of going solar. But the lease and the PPA is the new king of the business. So you'll hear a lot of folks out there saying, oh, don't lease, don't do PPAs. The reason they did that, and even myself, I was trained to discourage people from leases and PPAs in the early days, because companies like Sunrun and Solar City, which were two of the major players in the early days of residential solar, they had a really corrupt, aggressive lease PPA, right? So their PPA lease was really bad. Number one, the monthly payment was super high. Number two, there was no flexibility, right? So as a homeowner, when I lease a system, I want to get out of that lease possibly and convert it to ownership, right? Just like when I lease a car, I don't just lease a car thinking, oh, I have to give it back. I'm going to lease a car that I really like that I could possibly flip to ownership. And with these older lease programs, if you sold the home, the new homeowner not only had to, obviously buy the home, but they had to inherit that lease without the ability to buy it out most of the time, which would inhibit sales, right? So a real estate agent is going to say, oh no, don't lease the system because it'll F up your sale, right? When you go to market. Now, what SunPower has done is we've developed an entirely new lease and PPA power purchase agreement.
And these batteries help a lot with this, right? Like being more efficient, it gives you the ability to handle more your energy and work with those schedules so that you can get the better buck for
NEM 3.
Exactly.
Correct. For NEM 3. Yeah. So Moises is talking about why batteries are integral in net energy metering 3.0. I'm going to get into that in a second. But what I'm saying right now is that PPA, our new PPA, gives you the ability to purchase it outright cash after year 5. And the reason we say in our PPA, when you guys decide to move forward with us in SunPower, is there's a 5-year tax credit right now. So if you buy a system, and just for easy math, the system costs $100,000. If you were to buy a nice big system, cash, $100,000, you're getting a $30,000 tax credit. Right now, not everybody can pay tax. Not everyone pays $30,000 in taxes per year. A lot of our seniors don't. Younger people, even just middle-aged, low-income earners who are going solar because they need to go solar to save money. So they need a few years to carry forward that tax credit, right? So let's say they only pay $15,000 in taxes, then they need 2 years to use that $30,000 tax credit. They need to carry it forward. So when SunPower leases a system or does a power purchase agreement, they ask for minimum 5 years before you as the homeowner can buy it out cash, because they have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of customers across the country, all 50 states, where they are every day writing off those customers' tax credits, that tax credit from that system off their internal balance sheet. So they need the time. That said, if you sell the home before year 5, you do have the right to buy it out cash, because SunPower will accelerate that depreciation or accelerate that tax credit for that certain homeowner. So they really give you all the flexibility on leases and PPAs. Now, going to Moises' point about batteries, NEM 3 in these investor-owned utilities, we really highly recommend a battery, unless you just want to do like a 60% offset or a 66% offset, which would be for your daytime power. And the reason is NEM 3, the utilities are not buying back your surplus energy at fair market value like they were in the old days. Those days are gone because they're selfish, right? And they're threatened. And there's basically, and you know what was funny and very funny? They actually tried to tax. So in the original law that got shot down, they wanted to tax people $8 per kilowatt to have solar on the roof, which is like fascism in my opinion. Like, this is America. Wow. I own my home. I should be able to go solar, right? Why should I be taxed to go solar? Exactly. So now that did not end up happening. We were able to shut that down, but they did win on that. Oh, sorry guys. They did win on that. They did win on reducing that buyback rate. They did win on reducing that buyback rate, which was big for them. But in my opinion, what they did was they awoke the sleeping giant. So I like to always quote one of the famous Japanese generals after Pearl Harbor. He went back to the emperor and he said, after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and he said, "I'm afraid we've awakened a sleeping giant," right? And that's what's happened here in California is Edison, PG&E, and SDG&E, it's like hitting a hornet's nest. They pissed their customers off so bad by doing this. So now the customers, they need a battery, which makes the system a little bit more expensive, 20, 30% more expensive, but they're going to do it anyways, right? Because their utility doesn't give a shit about them, right? And that the point of the battery jumping into it is to store that surplus energy so that in the evening, when the sun is down, you're pulling from your energy off the battery as opposed to the grid. Yes. Right? And then you will still, in these utilities, we do upsize the systems, usually 15 to 20, 25% more power. because you still want to build some credits.
Yes.
Even if it's only at 8 cents and the fair market value is 32 cents, you still want to have some credits in your net bank account because in the evening, you very well may be running loads that aren't able to be fully supported by your battery, like your air conditioned essential air.
Yeah, and also looking at it in a more general way, not only in the evening, but think about, like right now we're at December. We're it's low performing months for solar.
Right.
So that upside is going to give you a little bit more cushion for where your solar is going to be, low, and you don't really have those credits acquired.
Exactly.
So, and mostly for new homeowners that go solar, let's say October, that they get installed October, November.
Yep.
Sometimes, and it's real, the production is low, consumption is high, and that's why it's also important to look at it that way, for new homeowners that are looking to go solar. And while we are at this revolution that Eric's talking about, why don't you just go with the best? SunPower has got the, like I'm sure you've mentioned it, solar panels.
Most efficient panels, longest warranty, best white glove experience. That's something we're really good here at US Power is we hold your hand.
Yes.
Right, we're not calling you every night, I'll tell you that. But you're getting an email and a phone call from us once a week.
At least.
With a full scope of what's happening, all the milestones. And if you're an Edison or PG&E or SDG&E investor-owned utilities, the process is a little longer right now. And the reason is these batteries. So when we put in permits for solar and batteries, our turnaround time on average before NEM 3, would you say was like six to 8 weeks?
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks until you're installed. So basically 2 months. 2 months, you sign a contract. Within 2 months, the system's on your roof. And then there's another 2 to 3 weeks for permission to operate, PTO. And that's
which is applied for in the beginning. So that process is locked down in the beginning. When you get installed, you get that second phase of the process started where they just do the final check of your plans.
Yep.
They give you PTO, which is permission to operate 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
And that's 2 inspections. So the first inspection.
Yes. So, and also depending on the overall work you're going to have in your home, if you do need a main panel upgrade, you're going to have to inspect that as well.
Right.
And also get a permit, which we all take care of.
Right.
By the way, there's nothing yet you have to be alarmed for. We're just going to update you on where the timelines we have and when we apply for, when we get the dates, when we install you. But realistically, everything needs to be permitted. And at the last inspection, that's when the second phase kicks in, which is 2 to 3 weeks to get PTO.
And those are 2 inspections. Building and safety comes out, and then whoever the utility is. So whoever your local jurisdiction is, their building and safety department for that city will come out and look at the system, make sure everything's been done right, done to code. And then the local utility is going to come out. And that's for all solar systems across the country. You're always going to have your local utility come out to do an inspection and sign off on the installation. And that's when you receive PTO, the magical words, permission to operate. So I want to jump a little bit into the process.
Yeah, of course.
What that looks like.
So let's you got your consultation. You met with Eric.
You met with me. You liked the numbers. We're going to do a soft track. It depends on what you do. If you're cash, there's no money down, right? We have great cash flow here. Yeah. But you sign a contract, right? You're going to sign your contract. There's a 7-day right to cancel here in California.
And this is a
full disclosure, though. If for any reason you decided not to proceed before the system is installed, we are, we're not going to come after you. We have. In LA County alone, we have over 800 projects right now. So that's just in LA County. So there is more than enough business. Your panels will go on someone else's roof if you don't want to go solar. So don't worry. But that said, you get your contract signed. We do a credit check. You pass. You put in your banking information for ACH. You don't have to. You can pay by check. But Bank of America is our underwriter. If you do a lease or a PPA, if you finance the affiliate lender is Technical Credit Union up in San Francisco, and they both incentivize auto pay, right? And it drops the monthly payment by like $7-8 if you do auto pay. Banks don't like waiting for checks, right? So they do incentivize auto pay. There's no pull. They're just gearing up for once the system's installed. And then your project is started. So the first thing we do is a welcome call. So typically at that SID, or if you sign the contract the night before and you call the consultant the day after, we're going to schedule your site survey and do your welcome call. And a welcome call is just, we're going to welcome you to SunPower. The intake representative is going to go over your contract. They're going to make sure that everything that was presented to you is accurate, that the monthly payment is accurate. If you did a fixed rate, great. On a PPA, possibly you wanted a really low monthly payment and you did an escalator, which is popular with young people and folks who don't think they're going to be in their home for more than 10 years. And then the intake rep is going to ask you questions about your roof, what type of roof. Many times your consultant is going to be able to help you with this call if there's certain things you don't know, and then schedule your site survey. And that's the first step, is scheduling that site survey for a technician to come out, take pictures of the roof, take pictures of the main service panel, go up in the attic, look at your rafters, take pictures of the spacing.
Take pictures all around the house. We need to see access points to the roof as well. That is really important. Driveway, they need to know. We need to know exactly how we're going to pull up to your home, how it's set up.
Right.
Be prepared with that, with the sufficient tools.
It's construction. So we want to gather a lot of information about the property.
Yes.
And then all that information goes back to the SunPower operations team, the design team.
Right there. Most importantly, what we're going to look at is at your structural from your home, from inside the attic. That's why we go inside the attic. It's very important. We want to make sure that we're installing on a roof that's going to support the solar panels, and we're not going to leave you with a problem in 5 years. You're going to start to have, your rafters bending or anything with the wind, because solar panels, as they are parallel to your roof, they do pick up some wind and there's traction there. So
and there's some weight. They're not like the panel behind you, I believe, is 40, 50 pounds. Yeah. So it's, it's not a heavy panel, but there's weight on that roof. So we need to make sure the roof is structurally sound.
Yes. And after that, the second most important thing will be your electrical. We need to see exactly how much loads you're running in your main service panel. That's why it is very important that, and in general, all homes have labels, in their main service panel. I'm sure everyone knows and has a picture in their mind right now how their main panel looks. Some people are going to say, hey, I don't have my panel labeled. Should I do that before I go solar? Well, that'll help, right? That'll help.
We will figure it out.
Exactly.
We have teams of electricians, so it's like
we'll take as more time.
Don't let that stop you. If you open up your service panel and you don't know what anything is in there.
Don't. That's not going to stop you from going solar, definitely. But it's something we look at. We want to go a little bit more in depth. So that's why we letting you guys know. We want to make sure how many loads you're running and make sure that putting the panels in your main service panel is not going to affect your wiring, breakers you may have, and that's also is going to be checked by the city. And so we really have to be up to code.
And we need to make sure you have enough amp space. That's at the end of the day what will cause a main panel upgrade. So that's one of our most often change orders is main panel upgrades.
Yeah, 50-50.
50% of the time.
Head to head.
Head to head. Yeah. So the two things that will slow the process down. And this is why we don't take any money down. So a lot of other companies, they'll take $1,000 deposit. They'll take, they'll ask for $15,000 to order their equipment because they're third party, right? Here, we're factory direct. We're a direct rep for SunPower residentially. We have great cash flow. We don't need any money down to get the process running, right? So, and the reason we do this is, anyone who's a homeowner out there and has done some construction knows how upsetting it is when you put a bunch of money down, a contractor comes out to your home, they start the work, and then halfway through they say it's going to be another $15,000, $5,000, $100,000, right?
And you're stuck with the work.
And it's like, wait, we had only talked about this X amount of dollars before the work even started. Now you're doubling the price on me, right? So that's something we don't do. Before we lift a finger on that installation, we figure out all those costs. And if there's a minor cost that is an error through the installation process, we'll cover it.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's not going to be anything crazy that we don't consider into our equations that could put us under.
Exactly. And after that, we can talk about the roofing. And as I said, I'd say, if not the most important thing, it's the roof, because the panels are going to go there. We look not only at the structure, which we've mentioned, we need to see that it's in good shape.
Yep.
Now, there are two big cases here on the roofing. It's a shingle and a tile, which the tile, we can get into that. But shingle, we just need to make sure that it's in good shape. It doesn't have a lot of granule loss. It looks solid. And then in terms of tiles, we need to make sure that it's a heavyweight tile. If not, there are other ways we can install.
Right. If you got Spanish tile, clay tile, lightweight tile, Typically, we need to do an inset, which is a specialized installation, which we're very good at, but you are not disqualified. So if you're one of those homeowners out there where a solar company, you either knocked on your door, you called in to go solar, and they came out and they said you can't do it, you're disqualified because of your roof, we're your company. Call us. We can do it. If we can't do it, nobody can.
Exactly. And also for those two things, specifically the main service panel and the roofing, really, it is really important, and I want to express this to that you go with a consultant and with a company that's experienced, because right when you go to the sit, you can quickly identify if you're experienced. Okay, your panel doesn't look like it's gonna get
through the process.
It's gonna get through the process. It's gonna get passed by the city
right.
With this much amps of solar panel.
Yep.
And I see you have a clay tile, you have a lightweight tile. We can prep you on the sit on that.
Yep.
So that it's not a surprise for you, in the next month when we get the design back and say, oh, hey, well, by the way, you need to pay $20,000 because your roof is not good.
So we typically do prep you if we come in home and we can see the roof and we can see the service panel, we're going to let you know that there's a likelihood of it getting upgraded. If the roof's in great condition, most likely you're good, but we do prep you so that you can expect those change orders. And the nice thing is too, you don't have to go with us, but we're not the type of company that's going to put panels on a roof that's shot, right? There's a lot of solar companies out there where they're just going to, hey, you order contract. Okay. It's not our problem. We're going to throw panels up there. When your roof leaks in 5 years, call a roofer, but hey, we don't care about your roof. We won't do that, right? So we give new 10-year comprehensive roofing warranties within 3 inches of those penetrations across where all those panels are.
Yes.
So basically, we're liable if that roof leaks. So we make sure that the roof is good. And then on a service panel upgrade, it's common. There is a small change order right now at least in LA County. Typically, they cost about $3,800 to do.
If it's the same location?
If it's the same location. We do subsidize $2,500 of that. So it's only a $1,300 change order. And if you're financing or paying cash, you do get a 30% federal tax credit on that change order, so it's $900. If you're leasing or doing a PPA, it's going to drive your monthly payment up by like $3 or $4. It's not a big deal. You get a brand new service panel, which gives you room for electric vehicles, level 2 car chargers, new appliances, and that's really what you want when you go solar. Most folks want more power.
Yes.
And recapping on the process is, within about a month after you sign that contract, we send you the final design for approval. You're going to approve that design. Then we file for the permit, right, with the city, and we're going to show you the location of the battery as well. And we give you a few options too. It's not like, hey, that's where it has to go. On average, though, it is most efficient and cost effective if that battery can go close to the service panel on the exterior of the home.
Yes.
Preferably on an east, west, or a north side. Typically, we don't want it on the south side because the south heats up much more and we can put a cover over it. But you will approve that design. And we always like to say, you're the captain of the ship. We're just going to show you the best direction to sail in, right? So we've been doing this for many, many years, 40 years now, right, as an organization. So we know what we're doing, but it's your home. Right? You guys know where you want panels. You know where you don't want panels, right? And many homeowners are willing to put a few more panels on a north side or an east side that isn't as efficient as a south side or a west side because of aesthetics, right? And we want you to pull up to your home every day and be like, I love my solar system, or I love not having an electric bill, and I love not seeing my solar system. Some folks want it on the back of the home. Our panels look amazing. We have a black on black cell. These are our high efficiency M series, which have a white backdrop. Some homeowners love it. Some homeowners don't. There are a few options when you call us or order a consultation. Yeah. But bottom line, we want you to aesthetically fall in love, right? It should add value to your property.
And this is part of the white glove experience that we give here at US Power, where you can, like Eric mentioned in the beginning, you can just call us. We can even jump on a FaceTime with you, show us where you don't want the panel. So that's really a big thing. We expedite that communication to the design team so that you don't have to worry about seeing your panels. If that's the case, if there's really no other option, we can work with you 100%. And yeah. I bring this up because it's a big thing for homeowners, especially in LA area where you have beautiful homes, big nice homes where simply people don't want to look at the panels, and that's comprehensible. That's totally fine. And also not
Which is
homeowners-
becoming less and less, though.
It's becoming
'Cause
less and less. And
solar panels are becoming ubiquitous, like
it's-
chimneys. I always like to compare chimneys. Like you see a chimney, no one thinks about a chimney. It's not a good looking thing.
no, and I think mostly this
But
is
solar panels look sick.
I think this is mostly encouraged also by HOAs. A
Yeah.
lot of HOAs don't really like.
So they're
solar on-
they're warming up. They're warming up, but they have historically been little aggressive towards solar in the past, but they are warming up. And there's laws here in California. For instance, there's the Solar Rights Alliance that says no HOA can tell you where you can and can't put your solar panels.
Yes.
So you do have protection, but you still want to get along with your HOA, obviously.
Exactly.
So wrapping up the process, if you're investor-owned utility, on average, you're looking at 10 to 12 weeks till installation.
Yeah.
You get that final design package within about 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Then you approve that. That design gets submitted for permit. And I'd say on average, we have the permit back within 2 to
weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks tops.
Yeah, 3 weeks tops.
Once we receive that permit, you're in line for installation.
Yeah.
And there is a queue, especially if you're here in California. NEM 3 has, I'd say, sped us up. It hasn't slowed us down. Like I said, they awakened a sleeping giant. There's so many customers now that want to go solar. We have a lot of business, which is great. But you probably are going to wait another 2 to 3 weeks for that installation to occur. So now you maybe get lucky. Might get installed in 8 weeks, but we want to set your expectations right. Right now, beginning of 2024, you're looking at 3 months until installation.
Yeah, so that permit goes in right when we get that permit back approved from the city. Realistically, right now we have basically day after installation, right? We have availability right now. The SunPower keeps growing, and once we get that permit, we get you installed. You can meet with the crew. You can also even make, if you decide to change your mind on
day of changes,
switch a panel, flip it over,
which happens all the time.
Yeah.
Some people want a panel there, and you just have to sign off on it.
Like you sign off on it, we install. It's a typically 1 to 2 day install. If you have a battery, you might go to a third day.
Yep.
But that's really it, right?
And what day do you have a little bit of a power outage? That's on the electrical day with the Hub Plus, correct?
Yeah, you do have a power outage. It typically goes from 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah. So expect one power outage throughout the process. You're going to buy ice. Put it in your fridge and your freezer to keep your steaks good.
And prepare if it's hot season, just prepare for the heat.
Exactly.
But we'll make sure we get your power back by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's not really a big thing. It's 1 to 3 days. I think it's great.
For all that, exactly.
I think it's great.
If it's just solar, if you're in DWP or Pasadena, Burbank, or one of the municipality-owned utilities, it's a day.
It's 1 day.
Because we don't need a battery. Unless you want a battery, which a lot of customers do because they want backup power. They want the generator, theoretically. But it's a day installation. So when we do the battery and the electrical for that storage facility, it is a little bit more tedious on the workload.
Yeah.
But you got to have it if you're in Edison. It's a no-brainer, and it makes the customers love it.
Yeah. And right after you get installed, we schedule your inspection with the city. We're basically on the last steps there. Once we pass inspection, or let's say in the case that you don't pass inspection, we take care of whatever needs to be done.
Yep.
So that you
corrections.
Code.
Sometimes an inspector may want, maybe like a grounding rod to be moved somewhere. These are like fine details. Every inspector has their say on what they like, and we just follow, we know the general code. Obviously, we have 100% turn on track record at SunPower and US Power, so we've never had a system that did not get PTO and had to be taken off. So 100% of our projects will go through with the utility. That said, inspectors do make corrections. That's common, and that is usually just a return visit or two until we can activate the system. Once you're running, you're happy, you're never looking back.
No.
Your monthly payment, if you're on a PPA, is way lower. And the reason is there's no interest. Interest is high right now. If you're financing a system, your monthly payment's going to be right around what you're paying right now, but it's captured equity. Yeah. And then if you're paying cash, you're looking at a return on investment. I'm still getting 6-year ROIs in Edison. I had a customer last week. They got a big bill, $1,000 a month bill. They bought a 23 kilowatt system with a 26 kilowatt hour battery.
Big system.
6-year return on investment, 18% yield. Goldman Sachs can't do that. Goldman Sachs can't do that. And when these guys, and these, usually these bigger, a lot of these customers, you could be low income, you could be mid income, you can be high income. We serve all, and this makes sense for everybody.
Yes.
But in particular, some of my high income homeowners who pay cash, they look at the return on solar and they go, this is the most incredible investment I've ever had. The sun is going to shine, guaranteed, and I'm going to use my power. And you guys have the best track record in the business. Like you guarantee up to 92% performance at the end of year 25. You've been making these for 40 years. Like, what better investment could you have? Like, this isn't the stock market. This is power.
Yeah.
You're gonna use your power if you're a homeowner.
And I think people don't really realize how good it is to have 92% at year 25.
Right.
Like I've been in the solar business for around seven years.
Yep.
I specialize mostly in the industrial business and commercial business.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a little bit of Moises' history because he's our head of operations here at US Power. We're going to get into a little of this history in the next episode.
Yeah, but
or in an episode to come.
Yeah, and what I was saying is that 92% is great. On those industrial commercial jobs, we mainly use Chinese panels because it's a better buck for a bulk, right?
Yep.
So those panels do have inferior technology, which has...
That's when he was installing down in Mexico with a
Yes.
separate company. Now he's working with the best. Okay, so with our modules up to 92% efficiency at the end of year 25. At the end of year 25. And you were saying, so you were...
Yeah, and realistically, like I wanted to dive into this a little bit.
A little bit of your history.
Yeah, I've been working mostly on industrial and commercial jobs down in Mexico. I have a degree in renewable energies. It's in engineering. So I started off with industrial and commercial projects with design. Then I jumped out into going to the field as a supervisor. So I was that guy that had crews out driving them around the city. Let's go to eat, then let's go to install, and then.
But you were doing
go
big.
back.
You were doing big systems.
Yeah, I was doing 500, 600 kilowatt systems.
Right. Those are massive commercial systems.
Yes, and
like auto zones and.
Yeah,
doing auto zones?
we did 12 auto zones in Mexico City area and some surroundings. We did one in Playa del Carmen, which is in Cancun.
Cool.
So down there we did another one. We did a couple more, but mainly what we want or what the company that I was working for wanted was to get the best, the best dollar for the best panel for the dollar.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
The more panels they could get. So they're mainly Chinese made. Yep. And buy them in bulk. And these panels have different technology. So this panel that I have behind me here is, you see how it's a really clean look. And you don't have any wires. You don't see any connection between the cells. So that's done underneath the cell. That helps the panel run cool and run more efficient. Now, that's really important because over the time, and let's say in a day, day starts out cold. Midday, the panel is at 80 degrees Celsius. I don't know what's that Fahrenheit, but it climbs the temperature a lot, and then it goes back to cold. So the cell expands and contracts.
Yeah, heat coefficient.
Exactly. So that makes the panel, if it's not efficient like this one is, for example, if we have conductors on the top, you'll see panels out there in roofs that are pretty shiny. Yep. And that means that they have conductors on the top.
What we call top contact metal.
And that makes two things. It heats up the panel because...
metal gets hot.
The metal gets hot. Metal is in contact with the sun.
Yep.
And the other thing, it makes it less efficient because it's hotter. So the hotter, it's the less efficient you get. And it's funny, and this is a way to look at it. In the northern states, if you want to install solar, there's two things that you need to take count, and it is the temperature and where you are located. Because it's so north that the shading factor is way too much than what it is in LA, for example.
Right.
You can't put a tilted panel and then just put one next to it because it's going to create a big shade.
Right.
So that's one thing. The other thing is temperature. It's colder.
Yep.
You can't connect. The panel will give you more power. So you need the configuration changes in panels, and mostly in this installations, bigger installations that have string inverters.
Yep.
Which they use.
We use microinverters.
We use microinverters, which are independent inverters for each panel.
Parallel circuit, not series.
No series, and that plays a big role because if if, for example, or also in industrial, they still do it. If an array is shaded from one panel, that shade is gonna theoretically affect all the panels.
Just like a Christmas tree light.
Exactly.
And you get the same on residential for a lot of companies like Tesla, Sunrun. They're still using, I mean, probably like 70 to 80% of the big companies still use string inverters.
And they work. I mean,
they work, but if they break down, much faster because they're doing all that work in one central point of failure. So it heats up, heat creates resistance, creates degradation. Computers run cool. When you have an inverter is theoretically, it's inverting that DC to AC, AC to DC. If it's heating up all the time, getting really hot, it's going to degrade. It's going to break down.
And that's the same reason why all these companies that work with string inverters, they're mostly German. Their technical support is not great because they're overloaded. They've been selling inverters for years and years. And after year 5, 6, or 7, that's when they mainly give up.
Or Chinese now, too. There's a lot of Chinese inverters out there.
Yeah, and we've had a bunch of those. At some point, most of our visits were maintenance
to the
inverters. Replacing inverters. We actually had to do like a maintenance.
Which does not happen with us.
No.
Microinverters last forever. They run cool. Each panel is only inverting the power for that panel.
And it's not only
DC in, AC out at point of. Each panel is its own power plant.
Yeah, so it's
and just to add really quick, the reason why on large systems like what Moises was doing down in Mexico, they use cheaper panels, Chinese panels, is because corporations can depreciate the cost of systems, whereas residents can't, right? So SunPower will build out solar fields up in like Victorville or Lancaster. Like you'll see massive solar fields. They don't always win with high efficiency cells. Many times utilities opt to use a really cheap panel that's lower efficiency because the economics make more sense to them. The panels are gonna die in 15 years, but they can accelerate depreciation. They can write off the entire cost of the array within the first few years.
Yes.
So the next 11 years they're just liquid. It's just profit.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what justifies. Now on residential though, it's opposite because residential, number one, you don't want to have to change your solar system every 10, 15 years. You want a system that's up there for 40 plus years. And you don't want to cover your whole roof with solar panels. So with residential, you want to use a high efficiency module because you don't have miles and miles of space on your roof, right? So
we've had companies down in Mexico that is just big building, and we use a quarter of the roof to power the whole factory.
Right.
So homes are different. You really want the smallest, most efficient panel.
Right.
And also very importantly, have various points of failure, which you're not going to fail. What I mean is having multiple inverters. If one of them gives, which is super rare that it does happen. Right. I mean, you're going to be sure that the rest of your panels are going to be producing energy on their own without being affected by anything else but their own integrated inverter. So
exactly
that's really great, and also that gives you the capability to have a full visualization on your plant, on your phone or your computer, wherever you want to look at it. We have individual panel
software. So when you're on your iPhone, you're going to be able to see what each panel is putting out individually in real time.
Yes.
With microinverters. So number one, way more efficient. You don't have to cover the whole rooftop. Number two, very intuitive monitoring. So again, real-time management of your system. We monitor it remotely. You can also monitor it. Some customers open it up every day. Some customers never look at it. Their bill is zero. They're happy. Yeah. But we still have the ability to look at a specific panel and say, hey, that panel's underperforming. What is it? Is it a tree? Is it being shaded? Is
it the time of the year?
Is it the time of the year? Is there a parapet wall that could possibly doing it? Yes. But other solar companies don't have the ability to analyze and won't. No. They won't take the time to send you reports. They won't take the time to take your call when you say, hey, I think I had an underperformance. We pick up the phone. We send you analytics right away.
And really, most of them can't. You can't track a single panel if you have an array done for your string inverter that's overheating in the back of your home.
Exactly.
So
exactly,
that's really, really important. Jumping back into the industrial installations that take a little bit of space to fulfill all that energy panels. And I because we're talking about the panel, I remember when we carry those panels and mostly have contact on the top, they crack all the time. And
Right.
that's part of something. If there's solar people that have experience, will relate to this. But and it's
They
very
break.
important. They break, and they don't break really where you can see it, but they're called microcracks.
Right.
So those
Microfractures.
the microfractures. Those microfractures are going to start to degrade and have the energy go towards a different way and just start getting lost in the panel. And then it starts heating because that energy doesn't have anywhere to go because the conductor's already cracked.
Yep.
Or it's not 100% conducting how it should be.
Yep.
So
Yep.
really having the best panel, and it's theoretically we have guarantee for 25 years.
Right.
But you can have it's going to be up and running by year 40.
I always tell my customers, you're buying a power plant, right? You're putting a power plant on your roof. This is your power plant. This is the power source that's going to keep your family sustained. It's going to keep your AC going. It's going to keep your refrigerator going. This is your power plant. Why would you want to cut corners on your power source?
And
right?
especially with all these options that you can go with SunPower and US Power.
Yep.
Like you have various options to do it. If you don't have, we don't ask money down again, and only if you do cash, that's you. But still, we don't ask you for money before we even install those panels.
It's so easy to go solar. It's, it's a no-brainer. And big shout out to the new PPA lease program that SunPower has launched. It's just very flexible. It gives you the ability to do it and own it after year 5, or if you sell the home before year 5, the new homeowner can buy it out.
Yeah.
But to just continue to wait and pay an electric bill makes 0 sense.
And keeping investing in utility doesn't make sense.
You're giving money to a utility that's going to continue to raise your rates. So
Capture it in your roof.
capture it on your roof, increase the value of your home, save the world.
Make your home a step closer to being a smart home.
Smart home, a renewable
Right.
home, a green home.
We're transitioning. We're constantly transitioning.
And it's America. It's America. Like, what American wouldn't want to have their power source on their roof?
Freedom
Wouldn't
of
wanna own
power.
their power. Freedom of power.
Yeah.
Call us, 818-650-8010. Go to sunpowerestimate.com. Again, we're going to get you out a full design within 2 business days. That's our minimum, just because we have a lot of orders coming in right now. But we will get you a full design. If you want an in-person consultation, you want a consultant to come out, let us know when you fill out that form. We also do Zoom calls as well. So if you want to do a virtual appointment, we can look at your roof via satellite that way and go through your system analysis. And you can always visit us also at our handles here, www.uspower.us. You're going to get to know Moises throughout this podcast series, and we'll talk more about operations and system installations. We'll have customers, certain experiences that we can go into.
Yeah.
But we're just so grateful to have you guys joining us and learning about going solar and becoming a fan.
Yeah, we really want to have you guys experience the white glove experience that we are mentioning to you guys throughout this whole podcast. And now that we've gone over the more technical stuff, we will dive even more specifically onto technical stuff for sure.
Into the fun stuff like aliens.
Yeah, of course.
Aliens and why aliens like solar, which they do.
Yeah, of course. And
That and 0 point energy, which is coming at some point.
And yeah, just encourage you guys to just kind of live this experience. We give customer service to our clients on top of SunPower all the time.
Oh yeah,
So
you'll be dealing with
you'll have our
Moises.
cell phone number.
You have our
Text me, call me, leave me a voicemail if I can answer. We'll get in touch with you. We'll make sure that happens. Here,
Yes.
we are really dedicated to having ongoing communication and making you feel safe throughout the whole process, because we know there are a lot of interrogants during the process. What's happened? I received this email. What's going on?
Right.
So we're
we're here.
really there for you. We're here at the Encino office. We're making calls all day, and making sure everything is running smoothly for you. So there's no best way to go solar than with SunPower, and on top of that, with US Power.
Give us a call. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next episode.